Chance to Change is a peer support programme based at the Phoenix Centre in Drumchapel. When COVID hit and we went into lockdown, all that peer support kind of fell by the wayside a wee bit because they couldn't meet up, they couldn't go walks, they didn't have their building. To keep building on the success, A Chance to Change, there needed to be a new platform. And that was when we realised that not everybody was digitally up to date, not everybody would be able to use that platform, so we would actually end up ostracising people. So it was decided that let's get the whole A Chance to Change digitally up to date. So there's not really any reason for Chance to Change not to continue, whether we have a building or not.
Roll on, we all get a nice shiny coloured screen. Just press the on button again once and it brings the screen back to life.
I was really quite nervous because I'm not very good with digital stuff at all. I've got a wee phone that I just use as a phone, nothing else, so I was quite nervous. Were you ready?
I was awful nervous. I could hardly use a phone for less what we're doing now. And to get these tablets has really been amazing.
I come into these groups and I keep saying I've done it before, I can't do it, I'm not doing it, I can't do it. And I get there in the end and I will do it and I'll keep trying, I won't give up.
The first challenge was getting people to realise that and that they would grow and develop throughout that course. You don't know everything on day one, that's the reason why you're learning.
Chance to Change has been very special. It's really taken on board some quite difficult tasks together, and the biggest challenge of all, I think, was working with the Scottish Government. I think these are very big challenges for groups to take on, and they've risen to the occasion wonderfully.
Each group member was provided a tablet and we had to install better Wi-Fi to cope with that higher traffic. We were lucky to have some amazing tutors that came in for 8 weeks to teach us all the basic functions of using that tablet. For instance, emails, Google Docs, Zoom calls, and most importantly, internet safety.
Before, people just used to steal your mail straight out your letterbox. Now they can get access to your information so many different ways.
You can't have people getting digitally up to date and learning the internet and not teach them internet safety because it is really quite dangerous.
I like the wee instruction booklets, simple language, diagrams, press this, know this.
I hope by the end of the course I'll be able to do Zoom with the group, do emails, and that dot. What's it called? Dot. Google Dot. Google Dot. Be able to do things like that. But it's going to take time.
My husband used to do Zoom with 3 of his pals. He'd be on it for about 2 hours, give me peace. And I'd love to try it. I really would like to try it.
I'm going to hit that join button. See the blue button that says join?
I think the problem isn't the digital, the problem is the inequality in society. If it was supported with proper investment in many people being able to do the kind of course that Chance to Change has been doing, to really help people feel empowered to use digital resources, then we could help people to have a lot more control and say of their own health with the support of digital technology.
I think it does have a role in the NHS. I'm concerned that that's another barrier for people. I think we're humans and we do like face-to-face stuff and we're more comfortable with that. If you're not any good at the digital stuff, you don't know anything about it or you don't have access to it, then that excludes you from that platform.
I really worry about the elderly. I know I'm getting on, but I find it difficult at my age and I really worry about anybody older than me.
Well, I feel the same. I mean, I'm very younger and I feel it's unfair.
But even the carers that go in, like daily stuff, I think they should be trained in how to do it. So if the older people need it, then they've got somebody to rely on to do it.
I can see the purpose of Zoom having come through the pandemic.
It was just that a good way to try and connect, but we struggled.
I find it quite hard because I've never used a computer or machine before. I'm taking it in easier than what I'm taking it in.
Honestly, sometimes it just takes practice.
This time next week.
You'll be
I've got a CPN and see the during lockdown. She done a Zoom meeting with me and I'm like, I'm not ready to go on the phone now. Does that mum? It's only your nurse are going to be talking to me. I was pretty embarrassed, but see now, I think I'd go right in now.
That's good, definitely success, because that means that you can still have health your way.
Right, so today, ladies, we are going to be checking out some websites. We want your reactions to be as honest as possible about these websites.
We've got to look at the list of websites that doctors would send out to people for self-help.
I didn't think it was very helpful. I don't think there was a lot on the website. Just didn't understand. I just took one look and I thought, well, if I can't understand it, how's other people going to understand it? It's just all jargon to me.
If you will look, I think that would be off-putting. I think there's too much going on that page. Far too much.
Right, I took the one to look at as the high blood pressure, heart attacks and strokes. I had an aphasia stroke. All my reading, writing, spelling, the reading things isn't really the thing for them. Even now, I can read a sentence, then I'll read another sentence, then I'll go back because I've forgotten the first sentence said, you know. It's all kind of like that for me. I went to my GP after I came out of hospital. They gave me a book on strokes and they knew what kind of stroke I had, so I could read it.
It's good because you've got the e-learning and you can take the online courses which are free.
I mean, this training's been marvellous to me. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't be able to have managed, even with a text on my phone.
I think that's really quite scary. I think the doctors want to have to take into account that not everybody is digitally up to date, not everybody knows how to click on a link. It might be a case of if the doctor is going to send somebody a link that they'll have to have a member of staff, maybe a sort of different type of community links work or somebody in there who that is their job, that if somebody gets a link and they don't know how to deal with it, you can go down and speak to them. Sending that link to somebody that hasn't got the technology to use it, it's just useless, isn't it?
So I think I've learned a lot from the group. It's not just the barriers about being able to use a tablet or having the internet. It's also being able to look at a web page and see a lot of information and find what you need and then understand it and use it. Things that maybe I would take for granted if I'm looking something up. You know, you're doing it 1,000 times a day for all kinds of things, but for some people that's really quite a hurdle.
Peter was the good doctor on duty at NHS anywhere, and the whole group got to go and say hello to him. Just see what that feels like to be in a digital waiting room.
It kept flinging me out the waiting room and then you needed to go back in and wait and then it kept happening, so that was quite stressful.
And that's not helpful to some wee old buddy that somebody's helped them get onto the waiting room. And maybe that the carer, maybe they're not there anymore. Like, so if they get kicked out of that waiting room, how are they getting back on to speak to the doctor? So these are things, again, that can highlight what needs to be fixed to make this a smoother run for people. After we did, everybody said hello to the good doctor at NHS Anywhere. My 3 best actresses tested their digital and medical skills. We did 3 mock consultations. Hi there.
Dr. Costin,
Right.
I've got an awful cough. It's like a bark.
Consulting is a skill for patients as well as doctors. Learning what kind of questions you might get asked and what kind of answers to give, I think, is quite useful. And having the peer support around to do that.
Personally, I wouldn't like us to lose the face-to-face stuff. There is a loss to it. It does have a part to play, but I wouldn't like to see it overtake that human contact. I don't know why, as a society, we would want to lose human contact with each other. The world's a nicer place when we're together as people. As human beings, I think that's what we're all about.
If it's anything to do with mental health, I think it's better to see the doctor face to face, even if it's over the computer.
You've got to consider if you actually have that safe space to be able to talk to a doctor as well from your home. And unfortunately, you know, there's people out there that aren't safe in their houses.
If you're on a low income, then you're not going to be able to afford the tablet or the internet. That costs money as well.
If you've only got a certain amount of money in your phone and you've got to wait a doctor and you get cut off and you've got no money, what happens if you're suicidal? And that's for the moment. What chances have you got? But my parents are coming up for 70 and they still use all phones. so it's left to me to do it all. So you can imagine the people that have not got anybody. I think we should have something in place for older people so they can get to see the doctor and they can phone them, because this digital platform isn't going to work for them.
For us as a GP practice, it's patient-led. We've now moved to a point where the individual decides what format they want to consult with us in.
When the nurse and pharmacists come in to teach us how to do a blood pressure and upkeep phone, all that. Oh, it was really interesting. It's good to know what you can do it yourself with the right equipment.
When we have an asthma, she's done my peak flow, and she's got the wee peak flow on to bring them with me, so I can check on it as well.
In that session, we also found that the Flow app, it's got a lot of cases, there's a lot of iron and out still to be done, because there was a lot of people that couldn't get on Flow, and there's some mobile providers that charge for the using Flow, and there's not supposed to be a charge.
You know, it's not like a huge complicated thing to do, like taking your blood pressure, the machine does it. It's just about being shown, and it really is just a couple of steps long.
Really Healthy Living Centre here, why do we not got an MD medical kit? Why have we not been trained before? How can we not take blood pressures here at the centre? That would take some of the pressure off what the NHS and GPs are feeling.
You could not ask individual people to pay that, especially the now. It's just ridiculous. You know, people are it's really hard out there the now.
If you want us to look after our own health, then he's the knowledge and the resources to do so. The session with the nurse and the pharmacist, it was really helpful, and it should be offered to everybody.
Right, hit that stop button then.
And I thought, oh God, I'll never able to get this. Where is it? And she's pressed the wee button, and I went, oh yes, I've got it. I really do feel proud of myself.
And I have found a lot of them saying to me that I would never be able to do that. If I never had the training, I would never be able to take a photo of that letter and send it to where it needed to go. I find that quite frightening, because how many people are out there facing that same situation and they've not got that digital learning. One of my members got a letter for jury service. They were so upset and the anxiety was pouring out of them.
I was supposed to go on jury duty.
The doctor to get an exemption.
They sent me a letter, so I done it through digital, took the photo and posted it, and I got it free for going to jury duty, which I would never have been able to done if I hadn't done that.
I never thought I would take to Zoom, but I have taken it. I'm not so scared to talk to somebody face to face on the screen. I used to be sort of suspicious.
Suspicious, definitely. Yep.
I get a phone call every 6 months from a community psychiatrist nurse. I think it would be better if she done a Zoom kind of call with you, and that way you speak to each other face to face. I feel a lot better.
One participant, an older lady, lost her phone, and that meant she couldn't communicate with her peers, and before that I'd just left her isolated, but she was actually able to go on her tablet, write an email to her peers and say, I'm still here and I'll be at group, and that meant nobody had to worry about her. It hasn't been all easy. Some people had never used technology in their life and they really struggled. And we had some really good tutors that were patient and were able to keep telling them the same thing 500 times, and that's what's needed. If you're planning to get people digitally up to date, you need to have patience, because it's no easy, especially for people that have never used a laptop or a tablet in their life. With persistence and perseverance and patience, a 70-year-old woman's emailing people, so it can be done.
Groups like Chance to Change shift the dynamics so that people do have more confidence. It does mean they challenge you more, and that's a little bit scary, or very scary sometimes. But actually, if you get challenged in a way that's helpful, rather than just shouted at, then it can actually lead to much better outcomes. And in the long run, then using the service better, because you understand each other better.
I would say to any doctor's watching this, give everyone an equal choice in what they want to do, if it's a telephone consultation or a video conversation or a one-to-one. But I think even though they're going digital, I think everyone should be given the option of what they want to do.
We need to consider the older generation that's no got tablet, don't have internet, maybe just don't have the money. It's great with upon digital, and it's going to help the NHS a lot. They need to have something in place, because it can't just be all about, well, it's digital, oh, that's it. Nah, not good enough.
Teen and drug tackle, where poverty is rife, addiction is rife, we're about to exclude more people, and most people are not going to be able to afford the tablet or the laptop or the internet. Sadly, it's always the poorest areas that are affected by health inequalities that get left behind, and I really do worry about my community.
I don't really see how we can have a health service going forward without groups like Chance to Change. You know that if you wanted to make changes or if you give them advice, that they'll be supported to do it. It seems to me like the only sensible way of the health service working in the future.
Chance to Change has proven that with just a small amount of resources and the right support, such as support for your GP practice, that we can empower people to use digital and to take control of their own health. I'm proud to be the facilitator, I'm proud of the team, I'm proud of every individual, and I'm highly privileged to be part of their journey as well as their digital journey. It's not always easy when you're learning something new, and I feel really proud to be part of that group and watch them learn new skills, watch their confidence build. With the right support, people can be phenomenal.